Hey guys, welcome back. By now, just about everybody has seen the new footage for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and even if you haven't, you probably heard about that controversial last shot that everyone has been losing their mind over. It is the one where Rey is in all dark. She's got a red lightsaber that's next to itself, and then it sort of folds out. I kind of liken it to a backwards switchblade. And it's flickering like Kylo's, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Rey is turning to the dark side! Now, as you could probably tell by the title, I fundamentally disagree with the assumption that Rey is going to the dark side based on that shot. And this is not just my opinion, I feel like I have got some good evidence to back it up. And yes, I have a cheat sheet because I'm not good at doing these things verbatim. This is why the Clumsy Jedi thinks Rey is not going to the dark side in The Rise of Skywalker. So first of all, we're going to look at Rey's character. Now, who is Rey? Rey is a scavenger who spent most of her life on Jakku, fighting for her life, basically fighting for her very existence because it was a very harsh environment and she didn't have any family to look after her. Looking at the kid in the flashback in Episode 7, I'm guessing Rey was about 7 or 8 years old when she was abandoned on Jakku. So first of all, we're going to talk about Rey's strengths. First of all, she's obviously very strong. She is extremely self-sufficient. She learned how to support herself at a young age and keep herself alive. She is a fighter. She's had to defend herself not only from the harsh environment, but from some pretty seedy characters that have been hanging around Nema Outpost. So, gosh, not only are the elements against her, but everyone around her is against her too, so that's got to be pretty hard on a person. Despite all this, she is also compassionate, as we see when she's taking care of BB-8, and then later on with Finn and other people that she encounters. And she's also, but probably most obvious one of her traits, she's naturally talented. She is a fast learner. She picks up on things really quick. Maybe force assisted, but that may be just part of who she is, force or no force, that some people are just fast learners and naturally athletic. So now that I've gone through some of Rey's strengths, and now I'm going to talk about her weaknesses. Yes, she does have weaknesses. People call her a Mary Sue. And while she is extremely strong and her flaws aren't that obvious, she does have flaws. And the two biggest ones are naivety. Rey's led a very sheltered life. She doesn't know much about the galaxy at large. In this case, she's kind of like Jon Snow. She knows nothing. All she knows is how to survive and how to fly and how to fight. That's just about all Rey knows. Everything else she's learning from the people she encounters. We can see her naivety in action, especially in Episode 8. She's thinking, oh, since trying to turn him back from the dark side worked for Luke with Darth Vader, maybe it'll work with me and Kylo since we've got a connection. Nope, she was wrong there. That was a mistake. So Rey's other main weakness is a lack of direction. In Episode 7, she blasts off from Jakku almost against her will, but just sort of as a survival mechanism. She kept saying, I need to get back to Jakku, even after going to Takodana and meeting Han Solo and all that stuff. Of course, on Takodana, she gets captured by Kylo Ren and then has to use her own wits to escape, which, of course, she successfully does. And then she's left trying to fight off Kylo, and then later on get Finn off of the deteriorating Starkiller base, which with the help of Chewbacca, she's able to do. No, Rey is not able to get him off herself. She still needs help. For most of The Force Awakens, she was just a passenger and sort of drawn along. It is not until the very end of the movie that she finally does something completely by choice, although Leia is probably the one that sends her. But this is a voluntary thing that Rey does, is going after Luke Skywalker and asking him to come back. Rey has a lack of direction, and between that and her being sheltered, that's one of the reasons why she does not fear the dark side. She's never encountered it before. She's more curious. She wants answers. Of course, the dark side does not give her answers, so other people have probably talked about it better than I could, but that's my take on the character. So, now that we've gone through Rey's main traits, both her strengths and her weaknesses, now I'm going to discuss the reasons why I strongly believe she is not going to the dark side. Number one, she has no motive. When we've seen other characters go to the dark side, they had a definite motive. With Anakin, his main motivations were, first of all, fear. First, fear of losing his mother, then fear of not being able to protect anybody that he loves or save them from a terrible fate. And then later on, when he got a taste of the dark side, his lust for power. Those were Anakin Skywalker's main motivations for going to the dark side. As for Kylo, he was motivated by, first of all, a sense of betrayal by those he loved, because according to the canon, nobody told him that Darth Vader was his grandfather. They figured it'd be safer to keep it from him. And when he finally found out from somebody else, no less, who dropped the bomb somewhere, it's in the book Bloodlines, by the way, this whole news, he probably felt betrayed. And then finally, Luke went in to check on him, and oops, reflex, ignited the lightsabers, like, yep, okay, I can't trust anybody here. By then, Snoke had already been manipulating him. At least this is my guess. So that sort of cemented in his mind, okay, I can't trust anybody, I have to get out of here, so he goes Mynock Poodoo crazy. And then, of course, after Kylo has been getting a taste of the dark side, he also has a lust for power. He's extremely ambitious. First of all, he wants to impress Snoke, and I'm like, wait, Snoke isn't out to help me. Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of him, and then I'll be the one with the power. That's the deception is the way of the Sith. I know Kylo's not technically a Sith; he's just a dark side user, but that's the way they operate. The younger one gets ambitious and eventually kills the older one. Now, Rey, on the other hand, despite having every reason to be bitter and antisocial and even possibly crazy or disturbed, I mean, she's been living on a desert essentially on her own since she was about 7 or 8 years old. And in The Force Awakens, she's 19, so that would be between 10 and 12 years she's been on her own in a desolate wasteland, but yet she still has these traits, and that shows some real good strength of character. We do see her use sort of lash out in anger, but anything she does is extremely short, and it's, from what we can see, it's only done in self-defense or in defense of others, like in defense of Finn. The one time we see her actually sort of lose it is when she's knocking the stuffing out of Kylo on Starkiller. I have no doubt she probably would have killed him if it wasn't for the earthquake that split them apart. That was a sort of a dark side. She was acting completely in anger and hatred. She tapped into the Force. She's like, okay, I can beat this guy. I want to beat this guy. He's a monster. I need to get rid of him. Reason number 2, every character guide that has been put out has described Rey as basically essentially good. She is always described as on the side of the light. She is never once described as on the fence, like hovering between light and darkness. She's always firmly on the side of the light. I mean, for Force Awakens, for Last Jedi, if they do choose to make Rey go dark, they would have to retcon all that brand new material that they did. And while stuff has been retconned in the sequel trilogy, most of it has been in the books, and that's only when they've made a new trilogy. For example, when they put out the prequel trilogy, that retconned several things that were in previously published expanded universe books. And then, of course, when they did the sequel trilogy, that retconned practically all of the expanded universe books that were put out. Like, none of that is canon now, it's all legends. But other than that, for example, Episode 6 did not retcon anything in Episode 5. Reason number 3, turning to the dark side would go completely against Rey's character. I've already said it, she has compassion. She has not shown... The only selfishness I have actually seen Rey show is in looking for answers about her family. And even then, that was completely understandable. It wasn't super selfish like, oh, I must have power. Oh, I must be a ruler or even a leader. She has not shown any interest in being a leader at all. She is more a guide, an assistant. She's not shown any interest so far in being in charge of anybody. She's just willing to be on the sidelines and, you know, help people along, but not be at the head of the line. Every single Darksider got there because, if nothing else, they were ambitious, and Rey does not seem that ambitious. She's just trying to figure out where she fits in this whole thing. Okay, reason number 4 why I don't think Rey is turning. She has already rejected the dark side. There was a pitch made, what was it? Oh, twice now for Rey to turn to the dark side. First of all, in Force Awakens, Kylo's like, I can teach you about the Force. You need me. That's basically been his whole thing. He's been trying to basically knock Rey down to nothing or tell her that she is nothing so she thinks that she needs him. Classic manipulation technique right there. And that hasn't worked, either the first time or the second time. The second time, Kylo is confident and is like, you're going to be the one that joins me. You'll see, you'll see. And he finally gets rid of the top bad guy, and they defeat the Praetorian Guards, and Rey's like, okay, we've been working together, this is great, now we're on the same side. And Kylo's like, yeah, we are on the same side, now you get to join me. And Rey's like, what? Both times, she rejected it soundly. She has not shown any temptation toward the dark side. Even when she and Kylo touched hands, she did not think of joining the dark side at all. Her thought was to save him. And after all that on Crate, she literally, when it was that final connection, she literally slammed the door in his face. She's like, nope, forget you. I'm leaving, dude. So I would take that as a very firm rejection of the dark side. And finally, last but not least, reason number 5 why I firmly believe Rey is not going to the dark side is it does not make any narrative or financial sense. Rey has got an enormous following, especially among little girls. I don't know. Anytime I cosplay as Rey, the kids go absolutely bananas, especially the little girls, and sometimes even like the older ladies. And guys, people just love her. I mean, I know there's people that put her down, but still, a lot of people are humongous fans of Rey. They absolutely love Rey. And especially speaking about the little girls, if Disney were to assassinate one of their creations, this would like taking a Disney princess and turning her into a villain. That's how big this thing is. It goes against the moral fabric of what Star Wars is to turn the hero into a villain. I mean, I know that already happened with Anakin, but in the end, he was redeemed. And there was always a goodness somewhere deep down inside of it. And like I said, Anakin had way more motivation to turn to the dark side than Rey has, at least at this point in the story. Anytime the dark side showed his face, he went to it and then sort of regretted it later. Anakin, he was very, very impulsive. He acted first and then dealt with the consequences later, and later paid for that. So the moral fabric of Star Wars is still intact. The good guys are, they're still the good guys. They may be flawed, as we saw in Rogue One. They may have different motivations, but in the end, the motivation to better the galaxy for everyone is still there, to act selflessly instead of selfishly. If Rey went to the dark side, and that's where it ended, like, okay, Rey is turning dark, that would be the end of Star Wars as we know it. And there would be an enormous backlash from a lot of people, and I believe Disney knows this. While I don't like the fact that they've got a monopoly on the entertainment industry, they're not stupid. They've still got a moral fabric between their family movies. The Marvel movies have got something of a moral underpinning to them. They're keeping the moral underpinning in Star Wars. They're keeping moral underpinnings in most of their animated films. Now, as far as Star Wars goes, The Mandalorian may be an exception of showing like anti-heroes, but that's more aimed toward adults. Anything that's in the family sector, and George Lucas himself said the main audience of Star Wars is, 10-year-olds. It's designed for 10, 12-year-olds. So anyway, it just makes absolutely no sense for Disney to do this to Rey. Okay, so with all this being said, all the evidence that I've put forth about Rey not turning to the dark side, why in the heck would they show dark side Rey, with the dark hood and the double lightsaber and the whole 9 yards in the trailer? There's 2 reasons I believe they did this. First of all, there was something of a volatile attitude toward The Last Jedi, not by the majority, obviously, because it made a heck of a lot of money at the box office. The critics seem to love it, but hardcore fans, especially Luke fans, didn't really like it. They had problems with the pacing and all that stuff. And yes, there are a lot of problems with The Last Jedi, but they've been talked about so much, I'm not going to get into them here. But add that, plus the bad box office performance of Solo, this has probably made them really cautious. J.J. Abrams himself said this is a course correction. There's been script rewrites, the trailers and everything else has been delayed by at least a month. The title didn't even come out until the first teaser trailer did, which is highly, highly unusual for these films. Disney's sort of tiptoeing around it now. They're like, "Whoops, okay, we gotta fix something now because this is not turning out the way we wanted it to." Basically, they don't want to lose their audience for the final movie in a saga that spanned over 40 years, because they know the following for Star Wars is huge, and Star Wars is a great big cash cow. So financially, they really, really want this one to succeed. Now, Dark Rey becomes the hook to reel the audience in and get them interested, get them excited, get them talking about it. They want people to be buzzing about this film, so then they're more likely to go to the theater and to find out what happens. The second reason to believe they showed Dark Side Rey in the latest footage from Rise of Skywalker. Sorry, I'm tired. Is J.J. Abrams. He is known for misdirection in his trailers. He's done it before with Star Trek. He's done it with the trailer for Episode 7. I mean, there is a precedent set for this. For example, we saw the Knights of Ren in the trailer for Episode 7, but it turns out that was part of Rey's vision. Since that precedent has been set, I strongly believe that's what's happening here. Dark Rey does not actually happen, it is part of a vision. And I've got a whole bunch of theories. I think I already talked about them on one of my reaction videos of what Dark Rey really means, but I'm too tired to get into all of them now. Those are my reasons why I firmly believe we are not going to see Rey turn to the dark side, at the very least in Episode 9. If she goes off the deep end in a book or something, although I don't know why they do that, then make of that what you will. But at the very least in Episode 9, I am about 95% sure Rey is not really going to the dark side. No way. It's either a clone or a vision or something to that effect. Whew. That was exhausting. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more G-rated Star Wars content, go ahead and click that little subscription button down below, and don't forget to check out the links in the description box. Question of the day: do you agree or disagree with my analysis? Go ahead and post a comment. Just please remember to keep things G-rated. There's enough negativity surrounding Star Wars as it is. I will not tolerate any more on my channel. There's plenty of other channels where you can spill your guts and spew whatever nonsense you want. Not here. I draw the line. Not on my channel. And not in the comments. I have family members who watch this channel, especially small children. They don't need to read that kind of junk. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but just keep things G-rated and don't be beating a dead horse, okay? It's been over a year, almost 2 years now, since The Last Jedi. So let it go, move on, let's talk about Episode 9. And no bashing of actors, filmmakers, whatever. Anyway, I will see everybody again on Wednesday. But until then, God bless, and may the Force be with you. Good night, folks.